I've ever been at, which involved in education, I had no idea that this was true. None. Right? So you have a ton of people who are dying to get a college education, and you have a ton of people who are not making it through the process. Okay, percentage of students that cite cost as the primary reason they drop out. 400? No. You say 100? 100. So I've heard somewhere between 50 and 70. Right? These kids are not getting through. And it's not because they're having a typical Animal House experience. It's not because they're just sitting, washing kegs and beer. It's because they need to go to work and they can't afford to get through. So in community colleges, course materials are often the second highest cost behind tuition, assuming they don't live there. So I had an intern working in my group last year, and he was getting his 2-year business degree from City College, San Francisco. And we looked at his course schedule, and we looked at the books he needed, and the books cost more than the tuition. Is this like, it's crazy to me. But materials are a huge cost. Right? And the situation today is that the world has changed and the monopoly is over. When I went to school, somewhat of a long time ago, I, beginning of the semester, walk into the bookstore, take out a credit card, take out all the hard-earned cash I had, and buy the books from that bookstore. The only option I had besides this was going down the street to the hippie bookstore and maybe buy my books for a few dollars cheaper. Right? Today, you're talking about 25–30% of students head online, places like Amazon have, because they're just serving the student credit. Okay, more than half the students are shopping online now, and consequently, what's happening is that the amount of money that students are spending on campus is dropping. And this is not dropping just on books, this is on everything. Does that make sense? Right? So if you take a step back and ask yourself, this is great, but what's your role on campus? What are you thinking about? You're probably thinking about the first thing you should be doing is serving your students and educators. Right? This is the role of library services and stores and all the things that come along with it, which is you got students, you got to get them through, you got educators who are working, you got to get them help. The second one, and for stores, you still have to do this. You still have to run a business. And you're all the business people at the college and at the university administration, and you understand this better than anybody. Which is you still have to, besides serving the students, you still have to run a thriving business. Otherwise, it won't make any sense. And I'm suggesting that there's a third role here, which is really about lowering the cost of education. Okay? And this is the main lever. This is the reason why students are not getting through. And your store and you can be a pretty strategic lever in helping this and getting more students through. Okay? So when you think about what the metrics are, because this is supposed to be about metrics, today the way you measure a store is you've got revenue coming in, expenses going out, and whatever's left over is usually made it's a check to the university. Right? To pay for a gym, or parking garage, or trees, I don't know. This is the way stores are run today. And the same metric and it works. But I'm here to say, so there are I think about four new levers, or 4 different concepts that in this new world you might want to think about. So the first is market share. And then looking at online and mobile. And customer satisfaction and savings. And I'll talk about all these separately. So on the market share piece, in 2010, NACS came out with a paper that's talked about the store of 2015. And one of the major themes running that paper was that it's now about market share, not margin. Okay, which now all of a sudden in this new world, given all of the competition, given the lack of monopoly, you now have to think about, like most other businesses, you have to think about market share versus margin. Okay, and students, forming those direct relationships with students is going to be the main source of success for the school, for the store. And I'll talk about ways to measure this in a second. Online and mobile are your new best friends. Okay? Students show up to campus with these things surgically implanted in their hands, right? And they don't leave without it. 57% of students today reported that they have a smartphone as their primary mobile device. I didn't know that there was such thing as a secondary mobile device. I only have one. Apparently students have more than one. 67% of students today say that they do comparison shopping on this device in your stores. Right, has anybody ever done that? Yeah? Okay, a few. Good. I mean, you walk up, you snap the barcode, and you get the prices back. And if it's not a good price, you'll hit the run. Okay, 2/3 of students are doing this today. We also run, Rafter runs bookrunner.com as well. In 2010, 2% of the traffic was on a mobile device. In 2011, 6% came on a mobile device. And this past year, August and September, 15% came on a mobile device. Okay, so you hear all about mobile commerce. It's really happening, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and you can't ignore it. You have to start thinking about it. I mentioned this before, customer satisfaction is paramount. Right? The service that you deliver to students impacts your brand. And every touch point that a college has with a student really affects how a student perceives that school. And you want them to have a good experience, not a bad one. We hear stories about people showing up on the first day of school and watching kids in the cafeteria. And they love the cafeteria. Right? They love it. All of a sudden you walk into this environment where there's pizza and popcorn and every bit of food they could possibly want. And they're happy as everything. And then sometimes they walk into the bookstore, and if it's not a good experience, they kind of deflate. Right? These are all impacting the school's brand. And customer satisfaction, making them happy, is becoming really, really important. And then finally, I mentioned this before, which is you should and can help students save. You can be a lever in helping them get through school by saving them money. So I promised you some formulas. Apologies. This is too much geekiness, but I'll go through them quick. So the old way of looking at success was net margin. The new way, I'm going to say there's three different components to it, which is profits, PhD. Everyone's familiar with PhD. Profits, happiness, stakeholder happiness, and the differential in the book cost. I'm going to go through all these in a second. Okay, but just keep thinking profits, happiness, differential in the book cost. So profits, if you look at a store, you have materials profits, and you have merchandise profits, and then you have the amount of money it takes to run the store. And that's profits. It's not profits, right? But for the sake of simplicity, I want to take out everything. I'm going to take out merchandise because I don't know anything about selling sweatshirts. And operating expense I'm going to remove as well. We're just going to look at materials. Right? So just talking about the materials part of this equation. Materials profit is materials revenue minus materials cost. Again, not terribly intuitive. So splitting out in-store and online is something I haven't seen a ton of stores do, which is you have to look at both channels. With the mobile and the PC and the online now, as important as it is today, as big as it is today, you can't just look at what you're doing in store and then assume that the online and the mobile stuff is kind of over here as a pilot. It's a primary way students are shopping. So split them out. So you have in-store materials revenue, online materials revenue. So it's just revenue from two channels, not one. And then the materials cost. And if you think about what goes into the materials part of this equation, how do you determine what your materials revenue is? It's basically the number of customers times the number of books times the price. Right? I mean, this is not makes sense. It's the number of people you have in each channel, number of customers, number of books they get from you, and then the average price of the book. If you look at customers, or if you look at books over the course of a year, it's called that's market share. Right? Customers per FTE, or books per FTE. If you measure that over time, the number of customers you have, the number of books you have, that's effectively market share over time. Okay. And if you're trying to make profits, you want to obviously move these numbers up. Right? So you want the number of customers, number of books, book price, all of these things to go up. That'll drive profits up. And you want to drive your costs down. Okay? So talking about those metrics, we have a saying, which is that which is measured gets managed. Your total market share, if you're watching total market share, and you're encouraging your store to market itself like crazy, right? And not just on campus, not just in store, but online and mobile, in every way they possibly can. growing your market share is tantamount to forming direct relationships with the customer and really giving them the product and the service that they want and making them happy. If you're looking at total market share as far as books per FTE, which is another way to look at it, besides doing the first thing, you're also looking at your pricing. And you're looking at how your prices that's offered in your store compares to the fair market value. Because students are price comparing today. They know exactly a book on the shelf, they know exactly how much that book goes for on Amazon and half. And if your store is offering a price that's far higher, that will not be a good experience for that student. And by the way, we've been doing this for 3 years now. I will say that students want to shop on campus. They want to transact with you. They want to give you the money. They want to be served by you. They just want to make sure they're getting a fair price. And not the cheapest price, but a fair price. Which is a pretty important distinction. And we've seen this in our data. Which is if your price is a little bit higher than what the fair market value is, that's okay, because there's a convenience factor to sitting there and picking up the book off the shelf. And then the third variable looking at COGS is just simply controlling your suppliers and making sure that you're getting the best prices you can, such that you can offer the best prices to your students. Okay, so then you have H, which is happiness or customer satisfaction. Does anybody, who here measures customer satisfaction in the course of daily life? Do you think your stores measure satisfaction? Okay, so I look at it and say, you have two stakeholders. You have your students and you have your educators. And both of them have a different degree of satisfaction. And you're probably going to weight them differently. And I'll bet everyone here is going to weight them differently depending on what type of school you manage. Okay, so I don't know the right way to weight each group, but I know they do. So one way to measure customer satisfaction, there's a lot of different ways to do it. One way we do it is we use something called Net Promoter. Has anybody heard of Net Promoter? Has anybody ever gotten a question from an airline or a hotel that sounds a lot like that question in the middle of the slide? On a scale from 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend it? Okay, so this is a company called Satmetrics, a bunch of years ago, did a study, and they looked at how companies, how the Fortune 100, Fortune 50, whatever, measured customer satisfaction. And what they found was that no one measured it right. And they invented this way to measure customer satisfaction, which works really well in terms of correlating true customer satisfaction, and it was correlated to a higher stock price as the companies grew. The higher your satisfaction was, the higher stock price, or higher company value. And basically, it's very simple. It's one question. You can do it for free using an online survey tool, which is on a scale from 0 to 10, 10 being extremely likely, how likely are you to recommend this service? That's it. One question. And you can measure that over time and see how you do. If you have any more questions about this, you can go to satmetrics.com. A ton of information there. It's very simple. And lots and lots and lots of companies are using it today. We're using it. Okay. Most important thing, saving students money. So looking at the book price year over year and saying, how is this book price changing over time is the third D. If you look at the price, your average unit cost, your average book price out the door to a student this year, you compare it to last year, what I call D. And by the way, if you can maintain the price of a book, you're winning, because publishers are raising their prices by 8 to 14% a year. So if that price is flat, then you're doing a killer good job. Okay? So if you're, remember about 5 slides ago, I said, hey, you know what, we want to make average book price as high as possible to increase profits. But here I'm saying, all right, if it wasn't cut off, you'd see that you want it to be lower. Right? So on one hand, your store folks are trying to raise the prices and make more profit. On the other hand, they're trying to lower the price and save your students money. Sound familiar? Right? So this is a source of tension. I've talked to a lot of people running stores, and they say on one hand, man, I'm trying to make money, and on the other hand, I'm trying to save my students money, and these things are absolutely diametrically opposed. And I think, and this is sort of my opinion, but if you, and we've seen, and Jared will talk about this, if you can minimize the book price, everything else goes up. Satisfaction goes up, market share goes up, conversion rate, profits, everything, and your store, I think, will be way more successful if you minimize the price. So, just to conclude my portion, we talked about what are the right ways to define success, and then what are the metrics, just to summarize. So I'm looking at and saying, okay, you have the profits, happiness, and differential in book cost, and then these are the key metrics. Market share, customer satisfaction, try to get those to go up, and average book price and cost of goods, try to get those to go down. Good? Okay, I'm going to turn over to Jared. He's going to talk about all those things.
So I promise no equations. I'll give you some results or some case study stuff, but no equations on my end. Let me tell you a little bit more about Chaffey. Again, I'm the Director of Auxiliary Services at Chaffey College. We're a community college in Southern California, about 13,000 FTEs strong. Our auxiliary consists of a bookstore, institutionally held, dining services, which is contracted out, but we very closely pull that in. And we actually don't call them by their management company name, we call them Chaffey Dining Services. We really want to make sure they're integrated into part of the campus. Vending, some contracts, pay to print. And the reason I mention all those different areas is because a lot of the things we do, we recognize some synergies, and we really hope to capitalize on that. So, I got the wrong one. Yeah, sorry. So, one of the things we have going on in California, and you have this in many other states, is budget problems. We have the capacity at Chaffey for probably another 3,000 to 5,000 FTE. We have the demand there, but we're not able to offer the sections. We actually, at community college in California, we keep none of our tuition. So the tuition that is collected from students all goes back to the state. So we don't even have the opportunity to add classes and just fund it off tuition. So we have that problem that we're sitting on, and that normally would lead to declining sales, declining food services sales, declining bookstore sales. Big, big concern for us. But where there's a problem, there's an opportunity. So some of the things that Michael suggested is we had to learn with bookstore management and food services management, a different way to look at what we're doing, a different way to measure our success, a different way to evaluate those things. And how do we make it a better place with what we have? How do we lower those costs? How do we improve service? How do we build that community? Now I'm going to fly through some of our programs, but I'll start by saying we brand it all, and that's a big important piece of it. Our effort is called CAUSE, Chaffey Auxiliary Support Education. And so again, synergies, pulling them all together. CAUSE is our overall label, CAUSE is our overall brand, and something we work to take a lot of pride in. On the bookstore side, tech rentals are a big one for us. Now, tech rentals are a traffic builder. We are, I believe, the first community college in the nation to have iPads and Kindle Fires and Acer Android tablets on a rent-to-own program. So we have those that we offer to our students, faculty, and staff. Not in the old model, not that profitable. There's not a big margin on this particular program for us, but it brings us customer satisfaction, it brings us foot traffic, it comes back to what we're trying to do overall, and it limits the cost. A student that walks in the Apple store and buys an iPad, they're dishing out a lot of money up front. We, on our end, are enabling them to basically make payments, and we are starting for the most part with a refurbished iPad for them, but we really notice they don't care. They're getting that iPad in here. Rentals are our biggest thing that we really feel has led to our successes, which I'll share with you in a little bit. Textbook rentals, we started about 4 years ago with our student government and have continued that program. And quite honestly, we've kind of materialized and evolved. We started with Missouri Book Company and Nebraska Book Company, some great programs there, but are now partners with Rafter. A lot of the books that we go through on the bookstore end are rentals. That's where we see our demand. And when we don't have a rental, students are asking, can I get that in a rental? It's really a big desire for our students. We train them to know that we're going to have rentals. They need to come to us. We're going to offer it to them at the best possible price. So rentals really are the catalyst for some of the successes that we've seen. And it's a struggle getting there. If you are just getting into rentals, as an auxiliary director or as someone in senior management, the numbers are going to look very weird at first, in all honesty. Your income is going down. That's because if someone buys a new book for 100, but as I said, rents it for 40, obviously that's less income that's coming in directly there. So there's some weird things that we as management have to get past and look at it a little bit of a different way. But rentals are a big piece of what we're offering. We also, and I'll show you some results in a little bit, online. We work really hard to make sure our web presence always has the big four: new, used, rental, ebook. Ebooks, not popular on my campus, but having ebooks are popular, meaning we get the positive PR and spin out of offering them. It's just most of our students do not want them. Rentals are really that primary source. We do a low price guarantee, and I strongly encourage any of you that have bookstores to encourage your store to do the same. Now, another big PR program, it helps towards the cost of education. We can boast about it to deans and faculty members. The best part of it is we get to undercut our off-campus competition all day and night, because we not only match, but we'll beat that price within 30 days of that purchase. So the student comes in either knowing that the price is cheaper or buys it, and in 30 days comes in with a receipt that says this is what the price was. We verify that, and then we'll go ahead and give back the difference plus 10%. You know, with 13,000 FTE, we probably only did 36, 48, 3-4 dozen low price guarantees this past semester. So not a huge number, but great PR you get off that. We do the beat guarantee for any traditional store, so Barnes & Noble, any other college bookstore, and even like I said, the off-campus competition. And there's some other benefits there. We found out a neighboring school of ours had a textbook we both bought it from the publisher. They had a textbook for $30 less than we did. And we asked the question, why? We went to the publisher, found out that that particular school faculty member pushed really hard, got them to stick plastic wrap around it and put a different ISBN on it, same book, cheaper price. So what we did was returned all of our books to the publisher and ordered under the new ISBN. So we were able to put value back to our students, and we wouldn't have known about it if not for the low price guarantee. We also match Amazon. Scary, but we do match Amazon. Only Amazon itself. It has to be in stock and bought and sold by Amazon or whatnot. And you can tell that by looking at the Amazon website. We don't deal with Marketplace. Marketplace, you can get into not only fraud, but there's no certainty that it's even the right book. But Amazon is pretty consistent, pretty good about selling what they say they're going to sell. It's got to be the identical ISBN, in stock, and sold by Amazon.com. We, in our experience, have not lost any money on those books. They're very small margin. And every now and then Amazon will do a loss leader, but we haven't experienced that loss leader. So usually we'll still make $1 or $2 off the book, but again, in all likelihood, they'll buy 3 other books from our shelf. So we'll make it up as well. I'm skipping over a few of these just in the interest of time, but we work really hard to be in touch with what faculty members want. We have an all required materials policy, which meaning anything that faculty is going to require their students will have in the store. We try and have in the store anyways. So the culinary art uniforms, any art and drafting kits, photography stuff, digital cameras, just a whole slew of things, even knives for the chefs for culinary art. If there's things that are required of a student, we want to know about it and we want to have it in our store. There used to be faculty members that would send them, we're about an hour outside of LA, would send them to LA to this art supply store to buy this specialty material because they were told by previous administration at our campus, oh, we can't get that. Well, we want to get that, we will find a way to get that, and the buyers at the bookstore have done a great job of making sure those products are available. It also shows the faculty members that we care, that we want to get that in there, we want convenience for their students. And in a lot of cases, we're able to be less expensive than our competitors, like Michael's, for instance. We can beat them pretty much all day and night. 99-cent store, can't beat them, but they don't have the same quality of product. Box office is another one that we've incorporated in the bookstore world. We have a lot of theme parks in Southern California. It used to be held by student activities. They had a heck of a time managing inventory. They don't have systems like we do. So we brought that into auxiliary. Disney tickets, AMC movie passes, Regal, Edwards. We sell for the athletics, and athletics and community colleges are really small. So that's a small piece of our number, but it's a good relationship. Because for athletics, it's just another outlet for them to get tickets out. We do it for the theater. The theater, fortunate for us, unfortunately for them, their system crashed one day, and they came to us, oh my God, can you help us? And so we had an old register, we put it in the theater, we said, we'll start selling them online for you. So we started working with them. Very, very low margin. I'll tell you, especially with Disney, who doesn't have to sell anything at a discount. It's very low margin, but it's value to our students because the Disney passes through us are cheaper than you can get going through Disney. The movie passes for us, I think we're there's different levels, but like the least expensive one's like $6.99 for a silver movie pass from AMC. If you go to AMC near my house in California, for a night show, it's like $12 or $12.50. So significant savings, and the students have loved this, have responded to this, and they bring traffic into our locations with this service that we offer. We do things on the green side, the social side of things. During dining services, we started a compost program. So any food waste, we will compost it. We work with our campus trash services provider and come in and take care of it on that end. We also offer coffee grounds to anyone who wants them. These are used coffee grounds, but they want to use them to fertilize their garden, which I've done. We'll give them a bag of coffee grounds, and they can take those home and fertilize their garden with them. Great PR, doesn't really cost us anything, and it actually saves the campus money, because waste that goes out through the compost is less expensive for the campus than waste that goes out through trash, and that's our particular agreement. So the campus loves it too, because they're actually saving money through their normal means. We have a We Buy Every Book program. So any textbook that comes through, no matter how old, no matter the market value, if nothing else, we'll pay 50 cents. And we'll either donate it to charity or we will recycle it. So students know that's staying out of a landfill. Again, great PR, works well for us. We actually do fine on it. We don't lose money. I mean, if we donate to a charity, yeah, we lose money, but again, a good cause. But when we send it to a recycler, the recycler pays us like $10 or $15 a box, which basically equals out to 50 cents per book. So it's a revenue neutral for us, which for the old balance sheets wouldn't work so well. But for the new perspective on looking at things, works fantastic. A couple more, and our second biggest, after textbook rentals, after textbook rentals, our second biggest piece that we really throw a lot of resources behind is student employment. We have about 100 students at peak, more than 100 students between all of auxiliary. What we found is if we treat them right, and we basically hit them with the propaganda of what we're doing for the campus, we have 100+ advocates out there. We have 100+ people, and we tell them, please tell us if your faculty members are trashing us, we want to know. We want to know how we can improve that. I've actually made calls to faculty members or had a meeting with them and found out they had some wild ideas